Charlie Ray.
I'm Amy Ray.
And today we're going to be making an old-fashioned South African classic, a good old fridge tart. I used to love fridge tart as a kid. I don't think you've really had fridge tart. It kind of went out of fashion a few years ago, but it's back in fashion now, and the Ray sisters are bringing it back. So I hope you guys are ready to make a good old-fashioned fridge tart with us today. So let's get baking!
Yay!
Time to get making and baking and cooking and being good looking. See what I did there? So, first things first, I'm gonna turn on the stove. I'm gonna do all the stove action because remember safety first when it comes to stove and hot things, but you're gonna add the ingredients, okay?
Okay.
So,
safety
can you put your listening ears on? No, not safety first, safety first. Safety, there's no in that. Safety is always first. So let's pop this bad boy on. So first things first, can you put the butter in? So we're gonna start with 125 grams of butter. It's just, there we go. We want this butter to be nice and melted. Perfect.
You hold this.
Okay.
Tight.
And you do the stirring.
Yeah.
Because teamwork makes the
dream work.
Exactly. We're now gonna add 125 grams of good old white sugar.
Holly?
Yes?
What's your favorite singer? Who's your favorite singer in the world?
Myself.
Do you know who mine is?
Who?
Ariana Grande.
Not me.
I got two, Ariana Grande and you.
Thank you. At least I'm in there somewhere. Okay, now I want you to add the cocoa for me, please. So now remember when you're measuring, you must always have a flat top. We don't want a heaped spoon. That's okay. Perfecto. So that's 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder. Keep mixing until all those that sugar's dissolved. You don't feel any more crystals in the mixture.
I feel so many crystals.
Well, then keep mixing. Mix a little bit faster. Now,
we're adding these.
We are. Raisins and pecans. So we've mixed them, but it's about 100 grams of pecans, so you can add, and half a cup.
The whole thing?
Yeah, you can pour the whole thing in. And half a cup of raisins. Once that's all mixed, we want to just bring it to the boil with the raisins in. And once it's brought to the boil, we're going to put it on the side and let it cool for a little bit. So can you crack the egg into here for me, Mimi?
Okay.
There we go. We always crack the egg into a little saucepan or a little ramekin or something, because if you get shelled, you don't want to get it into your mixture so that you don't have any issues. So let's check, there's no shell. Okay, now means the trick with this, when you add the egg, you have to stir really, really quickly so that the egg doesn't curdle. Okay, you ready to add the egg? And then I'm gonna mix really quickly. Okay, add the egg. We don't want that egg to scramble, basically. Mix that through nicely. As soon as you add the egg, it'll go a little bit runny. It's kind of like a caramel. It's a bit caramelly. And now we're gonna pop it back on for about another minute, just so that egg can cook inside our mixture. Last ingredient I'm gonna add is a little pinch of salt, because the salt just helps to bring the flavor out. Perfect, and sprinkle that in there. Thank you. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Give that a stir. That's looking amazing. Okay, that looks done to me.
Caramel chocolate.
Can you guys see how lovely and runny that is? So now we're gonna take it off the heat. I'm gonna turn this off, take it off the heat, and now we're gonna get our dish ready to pop this into.
Fridge tart yumminess.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we've got ourselves a little ramekin here, or a large ramekin. And we're gonna line it with tennis biscuits. So let's start by putting them, and let's put them with the tennis biscuit facing the outside. So when we take it out, you can see the tennis biscuit and it looks really, really nice.
Okay.
So let's line them along the bottom first. Perfect. And then we're gonna need like half tennis biscuits to go there. Okay, now we're gonna pop Harvey's along here. It's really important that you line the tin before. So you can line it with a cooking spray or some sort of non-stick agent, even butter. How's that? We're done. Look. Okay, now what we're gonna do is add our beautiful chocolate pecan raisin mixture into here.
Is this Camilla's famous fridge tart?
Yes, this is our aunt's favorite fridge tart. Make it all flat. Now what we're gonna do is line the top. Make sure they're all touching. We don't want lots of gaps. And no, we need half, yeah. They can't overlap. They can't overlap, baby girl. Don't cut corners. You can't cut corners when you're baking. You need to do everything properly. Perfect. Our fridge tart is now ready to go into the fridge. On, well done. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen it around the sides. Make sure that it's all loosened.
You're breaking the tennis biscuits.
That's okay.
No.
Okay, now.
Can't wait to eat.
The moment of truth.
Wow.
Hey, not too shabby, not too bad. That actually looks very cute. Now what we're gonna do?
Cut it.
We're gonna sprinkle. I've made a little mix of some icing sugar and some cocoa, and we're gonna sprinkle that. So we use a bread knife to cut it because we obviously have to cut through the tennis biscuits. So I'm gonna hold it on either side and just cut down like that. And then when we open it up, the real moment, look at that.
That looks delicious.
Okay? I'm so excited to try this. It looks delicious. Okay, let's dig in, Mimi Ray. Ooh, it's like a gooey, yummy. Did you see that? How yummy? That's so nice. You have the gooiness of that center fridge tart and the crispness of the tennis biscuits on the outside. It's got amazing textures. It's so nice. And those pecans, I love pecan nuts.
Hey guys, welcome back to Mimi's Corner. Today, for this segment, we are going to be doing some tips and tricks when you are baking. So Holly is going to be my assistant through the way.
Assistant Ray.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah.
At Mimi's Corner. Okay, so what's our first tip or trick?
So our first tip and trick, we're showing them how to make a baking tin shape out of this.
Okay, perfect. How to line our tin.
How to line out.
Okay, perfect.
So we must put it under the baking tin, and then you must take a pencil, and then you must round it. Perfect. And then you fold it inwards.
I'm gonna fold it in half. Okay, and then?
And then you fold it again, inwards. And then you can see like there's a little bit of two lines, so you only cut the outside.
Okay.
And that's how you make it.
Then
And then you put it in. For our next tip and trick is all about butter. So if your recipe asks for soft butter, here it is. If it asks for melted butter, there it is.
And you know, it's really important that if it is soft butter, use soft butter. If it's melted, use melted, because it does change your recipe a little bit. Did you know that? Changes the texture a little bit. So how can you get your butter soft easily? Do you know?
Yes. You need to put it in the fridge, and then you need to take it out after
So take it out before you start baking.
Take it out before you start baking, and then you need to cut it up into little squares like that. And then it becomes softer quicker.
Because it has a bigger surface area.
Yeah.
So add a little bit of science in there.
So for the next tip, before you bake, you must always read your recipe in detail. Whoa, girl. Bigger umoya pants. Chill.
But I'm just reading my recipe in detail.
Too much detail.
Oh.
So for our next tip and trick is all about being excellent. Get it? Get it?
I mean, I got it.
So to be an excellent recipe, your eggs need to be room temperature before you start baking. Whew. Oh, hallelujah. Oh. So for our next tip and trick, Holly, show them what it is.
So our next tip and trick is all about cake. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna use a piece of baking paper and pop it onto your cooling rack before you flip your cake out. Then I'm gonna take our cake, and I'm gonna flip it on top of that baking paper. Oh. Perfect. And basically what that does, it prevents the cooling wrap from eating into the cake, so you don't get all like those horrible lines on the front of your cake. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel off the baking paper, because now we want our cake to cool. And then what do we do, Mimi? We're gonna slap a piece of bread onto the top of the cake to prevent it from drying out while it cools.
Slap it.
Slap it on.
Slap it.
Slap it on. So we're back to show you one of our favorite recipes to make together. It's the first recipe both of us learned how to bake, and that is scones, darling. I first learned how to bake scones from my granny when I was like...
It's not scones. Scones.
Oh, sorry. I first learned how to make scones from our granny when I was about like 5 or 6. I was already helping her make scones. And you, same thing. How long have you been making scones with Granny? How long have you been making scones with Granny?
6, 7, 5.
Yes. What does that even mean? 6, 7, 5. What is the meaning of that?
6-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old.
Since you were like 5 as well. Scones are really easy to make, and I think there's a misconception that they're difficult to make, but they are so easy as long as you follow some simple tricks and tips. And we're gonna show you how to do it today. So I'm gonna grab a bowl. You wait here. Let me do the moonwalk out of here to grab a bowl. I'm gonna grab one of these. So we're gonna start off with our
flour.
Exactly. We need 2 cups of flour. So can you measure that out for me?
Yeah.
There we go. Get all that flour in there, baby girl. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's smooth it out.
You need more.
No, that's perfect. Pop that in there, please.
Haboo.
1 cup of flour. Baking is all about having exact measurements. Like people who say they can't bake, or they can't get the recipes right, it's usually because they're not following the recipe and doing the exact measurements. If it says a cup of flour, make sure that it's a leveled off cup of flour, not a heaped cup of flour or whatever, because it needs to be precise. Baking is like a science. I don't know why I'm speaking like a school teacher here.
Oh, no.
Add that in, please. Now I want you to add the butter. So we're gonna add 135 grams of soft butter.
You do know what yours.
Now I have got the messy job for you, Mimi Ray.
Yay!
I hate this job. I've hated it since I was a kid. I do not like to do it. We are going to mush the flour in, rub the flour into the butter. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Beep, 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 beep. 1, 2. Perfect. Is it looking like breadcrumbs?
Yes.
Once it looks like breadcrumbs, it's done. Last thing I'm gonna add is the sugar. Tablespoon of sugar. Just to help bring up the flour. That's amazing, that's perfect. Okay, so the final ingredient we're gonna add is a little pinch of salt. Perfect. All done. Now let's go wash our hands and then we're gonna get ready for our wet ingredients. Oh, huh? I've got something.
Yeah, on your glass.
Yeah, that's you. That's you flicking mixture all over the place. Now I've got mixture on my glasses. Impairing my vision with your hooliganness.
No.
Anyway, so now let's add our wet mixture. So we're gonna add 3/4 cup of mast. Mast is the most amazing thing when it comes to baking. A lot of recipes that you see from overseas or whatever will call for buttermilk, mast and buttermilk, same WhatsApp group. So you can basically just use the South African version, which is mast, in your mixtures. It makes things a lot more creamier, a lot fluffier. I love to use mast in my mixtures. Even pancakes, if it calls for milk, I'll put mast in instead. So, Mimi Ray, can you measure out the mast? We have a 1/4 cup here. I need 3 of these.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go. Cool. 1, pour it in. 1, 2.
2.
Ooh, perfect. 3. And now we're gonna crack an egg into there. But what do we always do with an egg? We don't crack it directly in.
Crack it with
Get ourselves a little ramekin.
Why did you do this?
Because I just thought I should moonwalk out of there. Make it look good.
That wasn't a moonwalk.
Well, it was my attempt.
This was a moonwalk.
Oh, okay, Michael Jackson. Okay, MJ. Can you crack this egg for me? With Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Pop your egg in there. Cool beans. Okay, mix that up for me with our new whiskey whisk. Perfect. Amazing. Just what we want. Okay, can you add that into there? Let's make a little hole. You add the hole. Perfect.
Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats.
Okay, pull that in. Okay, then we're gonna be using a butter knife to mix it. Okay, make sure you're scraping the ingredients. Yeah. Well, not scraping the bowl.
But it makes such a horrible sound.
No, but you want to make sure you're folding the ingredients in. You don't want to just be mixing the same. Perfectimundo. That's what you want those beautiful scones to look like. Light and fluffy and ready to go onto the trays. Okay, so I've got our tray here and I'm gonna be using this amazing reusable baking sheet. You basically just pop it onto your baking tray. You don't need to use a spray and cook. You don't need to use any sticking agent. You pop it directly onto this and it eliminates some of the fat and the sticky agents, which is really, really nice. Pull it off once you're done, give it a rinse, and you can use it again. Okay, so now we're gonna pop this onto here. Can you sprinkle some flour on this beautiful surface here? Now we're gonna empty our mix onto here. We're gonna sprinkle some flour on the top. And then we wanna just like pat it like around. Yeah, that's what we want. we've sort of patted this out. You don't want to roll a scone, you want to pat it out. Usually you cut a scone using a cookie cutter, or you can use the top of a glass, but we're gonna make pizza slice scones today, which are super easy, and you can make them if you don't have a cookie cutter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the mixture up, and I'm gonna pat it out.
Bobbly bop bop.
So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into sort of pizza wedges. You're basically just making a mark so when it comes out the oven, it's easy to have like a pull-apart scone. Okay, so we're gonna get our egg glaze ready. You're gonna crack an egg into here, Mimi. Oh, you're gonna do it, okay? Yeah. What is going on there, girl? Okay, now we're gonna whisk it up. Okay, Miss Artiste, are you ready to brush on? Let's get rid of the whisk. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Our scones are ready to be popped into the oven now. Well done, Miss Mimi, on your painting skills. I've preheated the oven to 200 degrees, and we're gonna pop these in for 10 to 15 minutes till they're beautiful golden brown on the top and they're baked all the way through. Okay, so we're gonna dish up these delicious scones. I'm gonna give you a knife. Here we go. I'm gonna pop one on your plate.
I thought that was yours.
Huh?
Never mind.
And I'm gonna dish up. I also want a big one. What's really nice is when you cut them and then you open them up, they kind of like just pull apart. They're delicious.
Ooh, that's hot.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is cut them down the middle.
I know how to do that.
Oh, they're so nice and fresh. What we're gonna do is gonna pop on some lemon curd. This is our mom's homemade lemon curd. She won't give us the recipe. She says it's her secret weapon.
I want to taste it.
Then a dollop of creme fraiche. You can also use fresh cream, fresh whipped cream. And I'm gonna pop a little raspberry.
Okay, that was a little too much.
Onto each of these. Okay, I am so excited to eat these scones.
I know.
They look so good, they smell so good. They have literally all of my favorite things. Scones, lemon curd, raspberry. It's the perfect combination for me. So are you ready to get eating?
Yeah.
Okay. A nice messy scone. Cheers, baby girl. Ding, ding. Let's do this. Those are so good. That is the freshest, fluffiest scone. You can taste the mass in there. Well, you can't taste the mass, but you can taste that the texture that the mass gives to that scone is amazing. Are you enjoying it? Loving it as much as I am. Okay, well, we're gonna carry on eating. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to stay tuned for our next bake to see what we're gonna be cooking next, to see what we're gonna be whipping up, to see what we're gonna be making, baking, and creating in the kitchen. We'll see you guys soon. From me, Holly Ray.
Mimi Ray.
Bye.
Bye.